Empires should be bursting, and then the fluid leaking out of the empires fills all the other spookometers.
Mm-hmm.
That's how spooky this team is.
But I can.
That's a lot. But holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm open.
We back. I'm back.
We back.
Did you miss me? Probably not. It's probably a really great episode without me.
This one's going to be way shorter to edit. We might have to release this one first, and that comment's going to make no sense.
Yeah.
Sick.
I'm open. We just recorded our central preview for context with Cam Brock and Sam Kaminsky, and they talked for 2 hours, and it was glorious and wonderful. But now we have Andrew. But now we're doing the East, which even when we were doing every other division, we couldn't stop talking about the East. So we're finally going to talk about the East, probably the most exciting division.
I'm excited.
Let's get into it. Should we?
Let's just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Let's get into it. What are we waiting for?
Into it, Sam. Let's get into it.
Where's B?
Bang.
All right. Here we are. East, Empire, Breeze, Phoenix, Glory, Royal, Rush.
Nice.
16.
There's more teams in this division than I thought.
Yeah, there were more last year.
Yeah.
Rip to the Ottawa Outlaws.
It's a huge division. Jesus.
Yeah. So it's down to 6, which I think is the same as the Central, but smaller than the West. I think the West still has 7. But
and these are just the regular season records, right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize Philly was 6-6.
Mm-hmm.
That's like respectable for this division, though.
Yeah, totally.
You know? So what were their losses? Okay, never mind. I'm getting way ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just I just look at this and I have so many thoughts, but
no, yeah.
Also, it's not called losses, it's called subtractions, ? Please stay on brand.
Yeah, they have 6 subtractions and 6 wins.
My bad.
But anyway,
to the brand.
Yeah, this division last year it was Empire and Breeze pretty much, and then Phoenix pulled away at the end. But I mean, this year we're expecting something similar, and then I feel like we don't really know how the bottom 4 are going to shake out. But I think we expect most, if not all of them, to be like pretty good. So definitely super exciting. Yeah, let's just jump right into the New York Empire. Who has something insightful to say about the Empire who don't know how to lose games?
Me. They're good at
more words than I. No, you said more words than I did. You get to go.
Yeah. My insightful thing is that they're good.
Like the Jack Williams pick you got there. Nice touch. Nice touch.
I wanted to add that you did not put in your key roster subtractions Matt Johnson, who had 3 blocks and 4 goals in one game, also 0 turnovers, and so that's a loss.
Yeah. Well, I blame the AUDL. I copied it from them, but I also added to this. They didn't have Josue or Oscar. Those are 2 people who I've met playing like Winter League. They were both on Exist, and they're both disgusting. So I would imagine both of them are going to play this year. We'll see. But I mean, it's the Empire. So do we need to even think about who they're adding? Because
no, probably not. Burby came from Boston, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, what is there to say? Like, this team's disgusting. They're like, I don't know. I just have no reason to believe that they're going to lose a single game. Like, well, what have they done to make me think that they won't? That's really what we should be talking about. Like, this team's just ridiculous.
I mean, we think the Breeze might pull one, but like, they just played the Breeze at TEP in Columbia, and they won.
Yeah, and again, like, I think that's the best information we have to go off of right now. And there were some of those new Breeze players at that tournament. Like, A-Roy was there. I'm not sure about who. I didn't tune into a ton of the games. So I know, some of the new players were there, and I don't want to put too much stock into that just because I don't even think they paid for like the players' flight. Just based on like when Everest went last year, I'm pretty sure he paid for his own flight, but then they paid for everything else. So it's kind of like not everyone can go. So it's definitely not. It's not the best that each team has to offer. So I don't want to like put too much stock into that like preseason exhibition stuff. But it's looking rough for the Breeze.
I also don't think that they're playing like 100,000%. It's the game doesn't count for anything. I don't think anybody was like risking any injuries out there. I don't want to say like, that's a better tell that the Empire are better than the Breeze than like the Empire's win in the playoffs last year.
Yeah. I will say last year's TEP game, they also played the Breeze, and that was like, I don't know, it felt like a close game. And I think that like the outcome of that was pretty much how the rest of the season felt. Like the Breeze were a little bit behind, they almost made it back, they didn't quite win. And that's kind of how it felt like the whole season for them, So maybe it is a good indication. Like, I don't know, but I don't know. This team's disgusting.
Yeah, they're going to be amazing. They have a fun schedule too.
Yeah, super fun. Any other team I'd be like concerned by these like 3 really tough out of division games, but with the Empire, it's just like something fun for us. So
yeah, like if the Breeze had the away like Summit Shred games, I would be nervous.
Yeah.
But with the Empire, I'm like, they're probably gonna win. And I'm trying to like my what I'm talking myself into is like, oh, they're gonna spend a lot of energy on those games, and then maybe in the long run they'll be like tired out. But I don't know. Pavel was trying to tell us last year that they were gonna lose in the playoffs because they were tired from playing at like Club Worlds and blah blah blah. Like, that didn't happen.
That was
didn't
wrong.
happen at all. So I don't know, man. This team's built to win championships. Like,
to Powell's credit, I mean, the Breeze game ended on a Ben Yacht buzzer beater sky ball.
Yeah, but it also ended with the Breeze like erasing a 4-score deficit in the second half too. I do think that the Breeze had tons of chances to not go down by 4, and like for the first half it looked even, and the fourth quarter it looked even, but like there were times that like New York seemed like they could have just gone on a run and taken over that game, and like give the Breeze a ton of credit, and they tied it up, but they also had to like do a lot of work in that fourth quarter to even have the game be tied and lose on a buzzer beater.
Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the Empire won, and credit to them. So yeah, I don't know. It didn't seem like all those extra like club tournaments like affected the players on their roster. Like, they had plenty in the tank and then they went out and they won the whole thing. So
yeah, they fucking dominated.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. We're done with that.
Yeah.
Nothing else to say.
Fuck them.
Let's go to the Breeze.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
What a fucking team they're gonna have.
Well, what was the Empire's O-line conversion? I want to compare it to the Breeze just back to back. 68. Man, almost 60.
Well,
if you round it up, it's 69.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, this team was nasty, and then they added, one of Pittsburgh's best players, 2 of Minnesota's really good players, one of Salt Lake
City's best players,
and someone from
Carolina. One of Carolina's better defensive players.
And another Norbom.
I didn't really think about it, but Thomas Edmonds is like, I totally forgot they got him too. Like, that's a huge steal.
Yeah, Edmonds is nasty.
Holy shit.
I know. Edmonds, Aroy, and Merrill are all, I mean, like, no disrespect to Jurek. Like, Jurek is fantastic too. But like Edmonds, Merrill, and Aroy is like just an insane addition to have. And then like obviously Jurek as well. And obviously Jurek plays truck, and like, that's a a great addition to have to the team. I don't know. It's crazy. You look at those 6 players right there, and like you look at their losses. Obviously, Del Rico, that sucks. Allen and Joe Richards, that sucks. But like they're keeping Rowan, Boxley, Monroe, Malks, Jocks, Merriman, Alexandre Fall, Bergeron, Musa Dia, like Bloodgood,
Stacks.
Ortonby. Like they have
Stacks.
so many players. Jeff Wodach, like they have so many players that they kept, and they're just adding in like 6 players who are starting O and D line players. Like, I don't know. That's fucking crazy. Rowan playing D line, defensive player of the year.
Yeah, that's crazy. So are we confirmed that Rowan's being moved to the D line to make room for A-Roy?
I don't believe like that the Breeze have confirmed that, but on their podcast they were talking Rowan and Malks were talking about how they're playing against each other at practices now. They're
Yeah.
Rowan is guarding Malks.
That's a telltale sign. That's interesting. I think it's a good problem. You know, we've talked about this like on the podcast, off the podcast, you know, in our like group chat or whatever, but it's definitely a problem that they have of like, okay, we have all this talent, like how do we distribute it on the roster? But it's like a very good problem to have. It's a problem that I think every team in the league would wish that they had. And maybe I think the Empire probably has that problem to an extent, but yeah, they're gonna have like a freaking disgusting D line. Like they're gonna have a D line where like maybe the only one in the league where you don't sub it off for the O line. We were talking about that. Like
you're subbing out Rowan, really?
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, how does that work? Like if you make a sub, you can just make as many subs as you want, and they tend to do the whole O line, or like
you could keep Rowan on there. Yeah, I also wanted to note that I think Rowan's completion percentage last year was like 94, 95. Great, right? Their additions, Edmonds, 96%, Jurek, 95%, Joe Merrill, 97%, A-Roy, 96%.
Damn.
They're getting guys who just don't turn it over very often on top of a team who is already not turning it over very often.
Yeah. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention, I mean, look at these like stat leaders from last year. They unlocked the box. Okay. Christian Boxley is disgusting.
Yeah.
They're gonna unlock the box again this year. I can only assume. Dude's like just such a crazy athlete, and obviously made that highlight play not in the AUDL but in the club finals. But he can burn any defender in the league. Like dude's disgusting. Can't guard him. Great. Like as much as we like talk about their handlers, you know, their cutters are can go up against anyone in the league.
Yeah, obviously losing Joe Richards, who was tied with Rowan for second most goals, sucks, but like that's not really a hole that they can't replace with any of a number of like 10 other players. You know, it hurts, but like, you know, you just added Joe Merrill at 45 goals last year.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah. And we talked about how the roster is so stacked that, you know, good problem to have, but we should also talk about bad problem to have, which is 2 games against the Flyers and 2 games against the Empire. That kind of sucks.
I was looking, I was like, dang, I think like the Breeze might have the hardest schedule in the league, playing 4 games against the last 2 champions. And then I looked at Phoenix's schedule and it's a little bit harder. But
the Phoenix's schedule is harder because they have to play the Breeze, right?
Yeah. I was doing it. How many games do you have to play against title contenders? And so technically the Breeze have 4 games against title contenders, and the Phoenix, they play the Flyers once, but they play the Breeze twice, and I'm including the Breeze in title contenders. So that's 5 games. But no, yeah, you're right. The Empire have the fewest games against title contenders because they are the title contenders.
Right.
Yeah.
I have I have a couple questions. The first is like a fact check. Do they have a championship in their history?
The
They don't.
Breeze?
They do not, right?
No.
I don't think so.
If this isn't the year for them, like when is it gonna be? You know?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Maybe like if some of those empire, like I don't know, like this is as good of a roster as you could ask for. My next question is AJ Merriman, I think, is a big piece to like their success this year. Do you guys think that he kind of had a down year last year? Like, because in 2021 he had like an arguable like MVP season, which is like as a D line guy.
He won, and he won Defensive Player of the Year.
And he won Defensive Player of the
Yeah.
Year. But he was a borderline. He could, if he was on the O line, he might have been in the MVP. Like seriously,
Yeah.
like he was that good. I wonder what like changed. But I mean, you got to think that he's wants to try to repeat his 2021 and figure out what happened, because it just seemed like a lot of his numbers were down, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta think part of it is that the Breeze defense as a whole just got fewer blocks.
Yeah.
And so like, he goes from I'm looking at it, he had 11 blocks last year, and in 2021 it was 20. And so that's, I don't know. I don't know what the final numbers were for the team in general, but that's a lot of opportunities to score the disc that he and the rest of the team didn't get, just because as a defense in general, they weren't getting the block numbers that they used to. Right. I don't know. I'd be interested to see if like the timeout switching the O-line changed for the Breeze between 21 and 22, if they let the D-line cook a little bit more in 2021 and gave him better assistant goal numbers, just like by giving him more opportunities. But obviously, like, that doesn't matter when it comes down to having almost half as many blocks.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. That's a good point. It could not really be his fault.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think he probably is going to want to come out and try to repeat. I don't know. I mean, I think the Breeze D-line is probably going to have to do what they did a couple years ago if they want. Their offense is going to be, as close to perfect as it's going to get. It's not going to get much better than this. So
yeah,
it's going to be on their D-line.
Yeah, I feel like as an offense, there's only so good it can be,
mm-hmm.
and then you hit a point of like diminishing returns, and then like I think they can improve the most at defense. So I think that'll be something to look at, this season. But I don't know.
I didn't even mention Jasper Tom earlier. Such a good handler defender too. They've got so many good players.
Yeah, I'm excited for this team. Final thoughts, anyone?
DC Rising, baby.
Yeah, DC Rising. Sam, what AUDL team would you say you're the biggest fan of?
The biggest fan of?
Like I'm hardcore representing the Summit. Joe, we know, is a Breeze fan. Andrew, Alley Cats one day, Breeze fan the other. I don't know. Just well, I guess Andrew,
I'm Breeze, baby. I'm Breeze.
Yeah, I figured you're a Breeze too.
No, that's a good question.
I mean, I fuck with the Alley Cats, but don't get me wrong. We're an Alley Cats pod, but I don't know. I'm DC sports.
Didn't you come out as an LA fan, Sam?
Yeah, I did, but that's just because of Everest. I mean, I have some loyalty to New York just living here, and also because all of them are so nice to us, and we have a lot of friends on their team. But I don't know. I'm not super tied to like a team in a fan sense, I would say.
I think I'm probably like I root for the Breeze hard, but like I'm more emotionally invested in like the Aviators games. You know what I mean? Like watching Everest and stuff.
I think
I love watching Everest.
LA or New York probably is who I most like root for when I'm watching them.
Yeah. But do you really root for New York, or do you just watch the like
I mean, I root for
absolute.
them, but like, what does that mean?
What is root? Yeah,
you already
what is
know they're
rooting
gonna
for
win.
them? Yeah, it's just
I
like,
just
okay, how much are
watch
they
them
gonna...
and then they score and I'm like, yeah, I wanted that.
That's
Yeah.
rooting, I guess.
Anyway,
That's like literally you just said the meme where it's like, when they score, I think to myself, yes.
yes. Anyway, yeah. So moving on to the toughest key games block in the league.
That's
Empire Breeze,
crazy.
Empire Flyers Breeze. We have the Philly Phoenix, who were the third East playoff team last year, and seems like they are gunning for that again. It seems like all their players are super, especially on social media, are very hyping their team up and very kind of jacked about returning to the playoffs. They want to be taken seriously, which respect, but it's a tough division for that.
Yeah.
If they
It
were
is.
in any other division, they wouldn't be the third best team in the division.
Mm.
If they were in any other division, they wouldn't be the third best team.
What do you mean by that? Like, let's say they're in the Central. Where are they?
The top two
Yeah, they're probably in that
this year.
You think the Phoenix are better than the Cats, the Winchell, and the Union?
No, I think they're better than. I think they would be in the top two. I think they're better than two of those teams you said.
I think they're certainly better than Minnesota. And I think there's
they're
I think there's
like
definitely
in that top tier of the division conversation.
I think one of the Winchell, Union, and Alley Cats gets together and is maybe better than Philly. And then I think Philly's probably better than like the other two because they're just such big question marks.
They've got a lot of really good offensive players.
I think they're a good team.
Yeah.
They have to go toe to toe with these like teams in the East every year, and they don't get talked about. They don't get respected because I think they're a great team and they have great players, but they have to play the Breeze and the Empire. Like a total of that's like 8 of their games.
This year, 5 of their games are against Empire Breeze and the Flyers.
Dude, like that's just so unfair.
I mean, it sounds like I'm the lone wolf here, but I think they're kind of a mediocre team. And like if you throw them in the South, I don't think they're better than the Hustle, the Soul, or the Flyers. If you throw them in the West, I don't think they're better than the Summit or the Shred.
I think they're better than the Soul. I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we would. The main point is we would look at them so much differently in those other divisions because, like in the Central, we would look at them in that top clump, and then in the South, we would look at them in that race for second, and then in the West, I think they would also sort of be in the conversation for second or third. But
I think so.
But even in the West, if they were third, it wouldn't be like 12-0, 10-2, 6-6. It would be more like 10-2, 10-2.
I don't know.
8-8.
I also
or 8-4, whatever.
I hear where Ryan is coming from. Like I think they're clearly the favorite to be the third best team in the East, but like they were not guaranteed a playoff spot until maybe the last week of the year. They lost to Boston last year. They lost to Montreal last year. They beat Ottawa by 1 point last year. They lost to Boston, and then they beat Boston by 2. Like
Breeze almost lost to Boston. Depending on
Breeze
which
almost
Boston you're getting. Depends which Boston.
And Philadelphia lost to Breeze by 1. Like
that's what I was gonna say.
Philly had some like crazy good games and some crazy bad games, but like
Philly almost beat the Breeze last year by a buzzer beater.
Yeah,
they lost to the Breeze. Just how we were just saying how the the Empire. Well, yeah, they basically almost lost to the Breeze, but it was a buzzer beater. Same thing happened with the Breeze and Philly. So
I know Philly is a. I don't know. I just feel like they're so good offensively. They have so many explosive pieces. Like there's just no way to contain Pollard, Martin, Mott, and Ryan. Like they're gonna, I don't know. They also just like huck it every time. And if you have a defense that can like try to funnel them in, maybe that can work. And like obviously it did. They weren't guaranteed a playoff spot till the end of the year. I don't know. I don't think it's like cut and dry. They'd be the top 2 in another division. but like at their best,
yeah, that was a
at
bold
their
statement,
best,
but
absolutely, I agree. When they're playing how they can play at their best, yes, I definitely agree.
I'm only speaking as like me rooting for the Breeze and then playing the Phoenix and me being like pretty spooked. And
Yeah, no, I
you know
definitely.
what I mean?
They
That's just
always
kind of
they're always
They're a
spooky.
spooky team.
that's just
But
the
let's not
vibe.
get ahead of
I'm
ourselves.
spooked. Yeah. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
But like I do think they don't they're the younger like they get the younger sibling syndrome, you know,
Yeah.
and because of the division that they're in. But I think they're a better team than that, and they deserve to be talked about better. They're a good team.
They also are keeping everybody who was top 7 in O and D points played, except for Damiano, who was 7th in D points played.
Yeah.
So they're returning basically everybody who was a major part of the team last year.
Mm-hmm.
And low key, like their Twitter interacts with us more than any of the other East teams.
Yeah, that is true.
I was gonna also say Max Charles. I feel like I see on Twitter a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe he's on AMP.
Nice. So I think he interacts with us on Twitter.
Yeah,
it's a good Frisbee city. They just PUL just expanded there too. It's fun. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm loving the Phoenix. I think it's just similar to.
Sam, you have a jersey.
I do have a jersey. I think it's similar to the Hustle where they look scary going into the year, but the schedule might just kind of take them out.
Yeah, I've got a whole thing. I wrote down my notes about and the Rush's schedules I want to go into later.
And then onto the Glory. Honestly, pretty tough schedule too with the Hustle game. Either one or two Empire games, I'm not sure, and then the 2 Breeze games. So I mean, we'll see with Boston if it's going to be the same. Like, 1 week it's good Boston, 1 week it's bad Boston. Then I just don't really know what to say about that.
I will say an interesting stat is that they were last in the league in Huck percentage last year. Awful. Ouch. And of the key roster subtractions, Stewart, Burpee, and Johnson were 2nd, 4th, and 5th on their team in Hucks completed. So of their top 5 Huckers, they're keeping 2 of them, and they were already the worst Hucking team in the league.
Maybe it's a good thing.
Maybe
bad throwers.
Maybe it is a good thing.
Replace one Tanner for another Tanner
thing, but I do see the argument that it's a good thing.
Well, better the devil you know. This is like my second time I'm saying that phrase on this. These previews.
I will also add that Tanner Hulkyard did not play last year and was Glory the year before, or was Glory whatever 2 years before that, and he had 65 scores and 11 blocks. So that's a big roster addition coming back to them.
One Tanner's gone, but another one takes his place.
Yeah,
the Tanner balance. Sam, do you have the question mark on all of the roster or for the subtractions, or is it just this one? Because it's like I don't know if they were even like playing all the games.
No, that's fair, but no, I have it on all of them because I wasn't sure what to call that. But
it's like they're gone, but like were they?
Yeah,
is it really a subtraction? Because like how many games did Tanner Johnson play last year? Like
like 4. I don't know.
Yeah,
but he was leading the league or leading the team in Hucks anyway.
Jesus he was Christ. Also 6th in offensive points played with probably like 70.
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know what to say about Boston.
They should be good.
Yeah.
Boston.
No.
They should
be
they're making the playoffs.
No.
Yes, they are.
I don't think they should be good.
No.
Every single one of their players.
I'm not saying that I think they'll be good. I'm saying they should be better than they are, and they're not.
Okay, I can let it slide. Should be better than they are, but I think if all of their players played the entire season, they still would not make the playoffs. I don't.
They're making the playoffs.
I think Sadok is very good, and obviously getting back Hulkyard is pretty good, but they have like nobody to throw the disc to. They have, 38 goals from Ray, and then 16 for the rest of them.
Yeah, that's tough.
I don't know. But maybe they make the playoffs. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's keep chugging. Montreal also finished 4-8 last year. I don't know. It seems like people aren't super happy with their off season. They lost a lot of their big names, I would say, including their all-star, right? I think Quentin Bernard was their all-star. I gotta just not try to say French things. But yeah, their schedule is a little more favorable than, say, Phoenix.
I think it was Jacob Brissett, actually.
Oh, okay. I think they had two though, because I think they had the international all-star.
Look it up. Yeah, you might be right.
But yeah, anyway, one of their all-stars. But yeah, better schedule than the Phoenix and Glory. But yeah, still got Empire and Breeze on the schedule. I don't know. Anyone? They got Brandon. We love Brandon on the pod.
Shout out Brandon.
Yeah.
What's up, dude? I don't have much on this team. They were not super on my radar last year. What do you guys got?
I've got that they were fourth worst in points per game, in their scores per game. It went Cannons, not a team anymore. Legion, barely a team. Mechanics, barely a team, and then the Royal, which is kind of crazy because I didn't think of the Royal as like worse than Pittsburgh when it comes to scoring. So I don't know. I also have that it seems like they lost the I don't know what to call it, the Ottawa sweepstakes. Players from Ottawa where they're gonna now play this year. A lot of them it seems like are not playing, but a good majority of their players, obviously, Brandon aside, and actually I think all I think Wallace. Actually, Gallant, maybe all three of them came from Ottawa, but most of Ottawa's good players went to the Rush. So I don't know. Kind of just sucks for Montreal.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All
right.
Should we cut
Andrew,
this?
did you have something actual that you wanted to say?
Oh, I just remember tuning into like the Breeze game, playing them last year, and the broadcasters were like, yeah, like they had to travel a ton, and it was a Sunday, and it was like they just kind of got beat down by like New York or something, and then were playing the Breeze, and the Breeze just went up like 8-0 against them, and I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
like I'm watching a massacre right now. So I don't know. That's all I had to say.
It could be the bottom. We'll see. But
yeah, I don't know. I think it's hard to tell. I don't think they're going to be like in the worst tier of the AUDL, but I think they're going to be not a contender in the East.
Yeah. And
David
then
Pistinus.
lastly, we have the Toronto Rush, whose two out of division games are Pittsburgh and Detroit, which is how'd they swing that? Congrats to them.
They also only have one Empire game, so that Empire Breeze is those are their three toughest matchups by far.
Yeah. Toronto seemingly won the East schedule sweepstakes. If they can handle themselves against Philly and Montreal, and I'm forgetting a team.
Boston,
thank you. Yeah, if they can handle themselves, even play those games like even, they'll probably be fine. I don't know. Yeah,
so they got Bevan and Hill from Ottawa. They also got Too Good from Ottawa. All were great. Bevan was second in
Too
scoring.
Good.
I know.
That is a great name.
Too Good had a 96% completion, good for fourth best on Ottawa. But first in completion percentage and third in completion percentage were Jeff Bevan and Jeremy Hill. So they have three of the top four handlers, I guess, or at least just like throwers from Ottawa. Ty Barbieri. Somebody wrote in the whatever player chatter thing that he's going to lead the league in goals. I don't think that's true, but in his one season from 2017, he had 35 goals, 9 assists, 11 blocks.
Wow.
McKenzie also coming back after not playing. He had 22 assists and 24 goals in 2021 and is not coming back. So they're gaining a bunch of offensive threats.
Yeah, that's exciting. Rush are kind of like a historically good AUDL team. So it's kind of like we came in on a year where they weren't so great. It'll be cool to see them kind of reemerge. I don't know. It would be fun to have a Canada team like do work.
Yeah.
James Lewis popped off for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember like talking about him that much, but
I think we had him in
respect on that name.
I think we put him in our award.
Yeah.
He was a nominee for
something.
Right.
Most improved or something.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Phil Turner, my player to watch, who didn't play any more games that season, and then was their all-star. So
yeah, and then we watched him.
And then we watched him. I was playing a long con on that one. Hopefully he keeps that going. They almost beat the Breeze again last year. That seems to be my metric of like these kind of East teams. It's like, oh, they almost beat the Breeze, so they're good. But it's like, I don't know. Yeah. It's not a great metric.
Yeah.
But they looked good in that game. The Breeze actually, I think, had to come back. And yeah, I don't know. They were kind of frustrating the Breeze's O-line. So clearly they're doing something right on defense. And they have the league leader in blocks. So I don't know. Their D's been pretty good. Oscar Stonehouse has that crazy mullet and a crazy name.
Dude,
so
he's sick. His highlights are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how well they travel. And I mean, a game in Michigan and a game in Pennsylvania is not like crazy far from Toronto. So yeah, they could be in line for a good season. I'm excited.
Yeah. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be the third team out of the East.
Wow, that's bold.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm calling it right now. I think that they got better, but also Philly having 7 games against New York, Carolina, DC, and Toronto, while the Rush having 5 games against New York, DC, and Philly is tough. If the Rush lose to New York and DC, they have 3 losses. And if they go 1-1 against Philly, that's 4 losses. And then if they play Montreal 3 times, they play Boston twice, they play Detroit, and they play Pittsburgh. Let's say they lose 1 to Boston, they lose 1 to Montreal, that puts them at 6-6. The Phoenix, if they lose their 2 games to New York, their 2 games to DC, their 2 games to Carolina, and I already said the Rush was going to go 1-1 with Philly, that is 6 losses for Philly already. That they need to win the rest of their games. They need to win out. They need to go 2-0 against Montreal. They need to go 2-0 against Boston.
They could do that.
They absolutely could do that, but they're also banking on the Rush losing a game to Boston and losing a game to Montreal.
Yeah.
Wow. The bar's a lot higher
you thought about this a lot more than me.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they're like necessary. If they go 1-1 against Philly and then Philly has a harder schedule and misses out, you know.
No, I know.
Potentially
it doesn't necessarily mean that they're better team. It just means that I'm not claiming which team is better as much as I think Toronto's going to make the playoffs. Those 2 games against each other are going to be huge.
It's time to claim which team is better.
Well, we gotta like really key into those games. Thank you for putting that on my radar, Joe. Because
Yeah,
I
I'm
would
sure.
Philly Toronto would not have
I know.
I just look at the schedule that day. What games do I want to watch? I don't think I would have picked those, but now I'm like, oh shit, this is like the third playoff spot.
I know. Also,
That's crazy.
What could be crazy is if Boston and Montreal are actually like just a whole step down and they don't win a game against the other 4 teams, and then let's say Philly beats the Rush in both games, they would both probably have the same record. They would both be 7-5 if the Rush lost New York, DC, Philly. Those are their 5 losses. Philly loses DC, New York, Carolina, and they just beat Toronto twice. They end up with the same record.
You know what I'm rooting for? I think Ryan already knows where I'm going with this. I want a crazy tiebreaker situation.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Let's get out like the dust off the rule books and like get into the most crazy in the weeds on like figuring out the playoffs. That's what I'm rooting for.
Andrew, nothing would make me happier.
Yeah. I love me a good tie.
Love me some ties, baby. That's the one thing I'd change to the AUDL is allow ties.
Yeah, that's the big brain like NFL move now is like I root for the ties.
Oh,
I want to see Carolina go 0-3 against the East.
That would be awesome. That'd be crazy. All
Yeah.
right.
All right.
Spookometer.
Time to get into the spookometer. I've already filled up Empire all the way because I think that's where we stand with that.
Empires should be bursting, and then the fluid leaking out of the Empires fills all the other spookometers. That's how spooky this team is.
But I can.
That's a lot. But holy shit, dude.
They're so spooky.
They're the spookiest.
No,
they're terrifying. They're terrifying. They're not even spooky. They scare the shit out of me. If I had to play them.
Yeah.
I feel like Breeze is a solid 92. What do we think? Higher?
Dude, if Empire's squirting out, I think Breeze is like 99.
Yeah, I think we had Carolina
was my opinion,
like 97 or something.
It was my opinion last year that the Breeze were the second best team in the league. And
look at the roster, bro.
They only got better.
Yeah, I think I have them second in the league also if I had to pick.
Who do we have besides the Aviators also bursting? Who else is pretty high? Do we remember?
Carolina's at like 97, I think.
All right, if Carolina's at 97.
Oh yeah.
You can't Breeze low. I think Breeze is a better team than Carolina right now.
I think so too. Let's give them a 98.5.
Carolina's so good though, man. They're probably fucking pissed off that everyone's talking about the Breeze and Empire, and they're probably sick of it.
Honestly.
Yeah. Probably.
All right. And then we probably have a pretty steep drop off here, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Cause like a steep drop off here puts, Phoenix at like 50 something. And that's where we had the hustle, it's just in the context of this division that looks so much worse. But
I think the Phoenix and the hustle are like comparable.
I think they're a little bit spookier than the hustle.
Okay.
I think they're very comparable.
I would agree. They're like,
it's actually a really good comp. Like you use that as like a random example, but I think that's like you kind of hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I mean that's what the spookometer does.
What do you think, Ryan?
I get more spooked out by the hustle, but I mean the hustle's. Well, wait, the hustle also has a tough schedule, right? Or is it?
Yeah, but we're not talking schedule.
Yeah, I guess what my point is like. The hustle and the Phoenix both have really tough schedules.
Yeah, true.
Like
so we can compare them.
Similar in comparison to what you and Andrew were saying. That I'm spooked out equally by the both.
Totally.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I don't know.
I'm not spooked out by the glory. I'll just be honest.
No.
You have to rescind that take from earlier.
I think they're making the playoffs. I'm just not scared of them at all. Takes don't have to be rescinded. They just get put.
No, I know, but
where we think it is.
Yeah. Hold on. The Glory are making the playoffs. I'm just not scared of them.
Okay,
that's a good point.
So
this isn't about playoffs, Sam. This is about how spooky the teams are.
Fair enough.
in this division, you can make the playoffs and not be spooky. Especially with the Phoenix's schedule.
I think you'd spook teams in other divisions. I think the third playoff team in the East would spook like the Central teams.
Yeah, I feel like a 30 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sudoku.
That's high, man.
Pretty
That's
spooky.
30 is generous.
You think so?
I think they can.
25.
Because I mean, we
have
like all the Duke teams at like 10 and under.
This is a Duke team. This is a.
I think Montreal is spookier. So I kind of
really.
I think Montreal's.
I do too.
I would have the Glory. Like
I have Montreal as the least spooky.
I would have the Glory significantly higher than like our Duke. Our four.
Dude, for
like,
me, the
Duke
Glory is dirt to me. Like,
so you're saying the Glory and the Thunderbirds are the same?
Right. So 20 something.
Wait, what do we put Thunderbird? Well, I wasn't there for the Thunderbirds.
Well, Sam and Cam
it was Sam and Cam's spook.
What do they put the Thunderbirds?
Like a 2.
Very low.
Yeah, I'm saying Glory is like 2025.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
I'll put it right there.
Yeah, give me like a 21.
This team is not spooky. 25 is generous, man. Like,
yeah, they're not a quarter spooky.
This team, like, I look at this team, I look at their logo, I crinkle my nose.
I want to get this logo tattooed on my ass.
It's a fucking tramp stamp ass logo. I'm not about it. I'm not about what you guys are about. I'm sorry.
So, like,
not
if
spooked.
you see someone with this tattoo on their ass, how spooked would you be, though?
I wouldn't be spooked at all. I would be like, you know, that makes sense.
They would be so sad. They would be harmless.
That should be our next tier list is rating the logos as tramp stamp.
That's the only time Boston's gonna be S tier. Actually, except we did.
We put them double S tier for jerseys.
That's because Brandon had. I don't know. We had to be provocative. We had to be provocative.
All right, where are we at with Montreal?
I'm at like 14, 15.
Yeah,
I just think they lost all their big guns to Toronto or to taking a year off, and they weren't that good last year, anyways. That's my take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not spooked by them.
Yeah, and also like
they still got Brissett. They have friend of the pod, Brandon.
Also, like if the Glory have those good games, and then Montreal doesn't really have that even.
Yeah.
Like even at their worst. With the Glory, you're still like, well, sometimes. But then with Montreal, it's just like, that's what they are.
Yeah.
Kind of week in, week out. I don't know.
How do we feel? Andrew, what are you thinking?
This is a tough one because, okay, I think they deserve a little bump in the spook because they got a bunch of players from Ottawa who were pretty, actually, no, the Rush got more good.
Rush got them all.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I don't know. I want to give them a little bit of a bump because I just think, do I think they're higher or lower than Boston? I mean, they're right around there. I'm fine with that.
They were 1-1 against Boston last year. Not very helpful.
Makes sense. All right, we'll keep them a little lower where you can't really tell if they're even lower.
Yeah.
All right.
Toronto's gonna be real tough because this is such an unknown.
I think they're like 30 or. Yeah, I think they're like 35.
I almost put them close to Phoenix.
Yeah, they 35, 40. I don't know.
What do we have Phoenix at, like 55?
Yeah, 55. Yeah. I think closer to Phoenix than these other teams for sure.
Yeah.
I think they're in the same tax bracket as the Phoenix, but even though I think they're going to make the playoffs, I still think the Phoenix are the spookier team. I don't think there's really like anybody on Toronto that I think is as good as Pollard for sure, and probably Mott and Greg Martin too.
Fair. Yeah. What scares me is just the unknown, like all of the players that are coming over from Ottawa.
Bevan is straight up very good.
That gives me some spook.
Yeah. Ty Barbieri. Who knows? Maybe he'll lead the league in goals.
I don't know. I like this spookometer as we have it.
Yeah, works for me.
Yeah. Nobody gets blue.
Yeah,
nobody gets blue.
No, nobody's too blue. Division. Yeah, there's no outright Dukesters in this division, so
yeah,
nobody deserves it. Yeah,
I think Glory and Montreal are like clearly better than the Legion and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Detroit.
like even when we're discussing like Phoenix and Rush, we have to consider that they could drop games to
I know. Yeah,
Glory
I was
in Montreal, which
yeah.
like we don't have to do when we're talking about like the South or the Central or whatever.
That's
yeah. I was saying they'd have the same record if the Rush went 1-1 against Boston and 2-1 against Montreal. It's totally likely.
All right.
Happened
Well,
last year.
we did it.
Good job.
Is that all the divisions?
That's all the
That's
divisions.
all the divisions.
Finished.
The season's just around the corner.
We're such a good podcast, guys.
I know.
We're killing
This
this.
has been another episode of I'm Open, blah, blah, blah. The off season's over. Fucking finally.
Freaking subscribe.